right. Welcome back, my peaches, or what's up, my peaches? This is the third video in my A Court of Thorns and Roses book series reviews. This is like the fourth time I'm filming this video or this review for you guys. I have rambled and made no sense. My plot summary was lacking in one of the videos. My hair looked like a bird's nest in one of the ones I just filmed. So wish us luck on this one. Hopefully this is the one. As I said, this is the review for the third book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series, which happens to be A Court of Wings and Ruin. I got this one in a paperback. Long story. We won't get into it. So today we'll be following my Peaches review checklist. So number one on our checklist, genre, I think it goes without saying, but this is consistent with the first two books in the series. It is an adventure fantasy with a heavy dash of romance. Epic love. We love it. Which leads me to number two on our checklist, spice level, 3 out of 5. Heavy dash of romance, as I said, but Sarah J. Maas is not the biggest, most graphic spice writer. She definitely has scenes. She gets in there. She describes some things. But if you're an avid spice book reader, then it's not the spiciest thing you've read. But it definitely gives more than a taste. So 3 out of 5 for me, which leads us into number 3 on our checklist, the plot summary. And I'm scratching the 30-second piece of it, right? Just plot summary. And I'm going to do my best to stick with no spoilers, but I will say it's impossible to do once you're mid-series. So I'll say if you haven't read books 1 or 2, stop. Don't watch this. Pause. Finish books 1 and 2, then come back. I will not spoil the end of this book, book 3, but if you haven't read books 1 or 2, I'm going to spoil some things for you, right? So for the sake of this plot summary, please make sure you have read books 1 and 2. So third book, plot summary. So we start with Feyre. She's in the Spring Court, right? Picking up right where book 2 left off, right? She's infiltrating. She's a double agent. She's trying to figure out, more information on Hybern's potential invasion. And she's also trying to take down from within the Spring Court, right? She has a bone to pick with Tamlin, and rightfully so. So that's where we pick up the third book. Overall, the book, a lot happens, a lot of pages, but overall the book is, I'd say, just a race to prevent Hybern the King from invading, taking down the wall, and destroying everything Feyre knows and loves dearly. So I'd say it's an excellent full circle bring to closure the first 3 books in the series. We get to see a lot of characters that she being Sarah J. Maas, she got you to love in the first 2 books. So bringing them back. The Serial makes an appearance again. You know how I feel about the Serial. The Bone Carver, the Weaver, Lucian. He was around in the second books, but he definitely kind of redeems himself in the third book. And he's not necessarily in every scene, but his story behind the scenes that you're not actually reading about is a huge piece of what's going on in the third book. Even Feyre's father comes back at some point in the book. There's a lot of just, Avengers Endgame type feel, right? Everybody's there. And then I'd say overall, the third book is definitely Feyre dealing with the trauma of others. So the second book was much more her dealing with her own trauma and how to recover from, being changed from everything she went through at the end of the first book. The third book is dealing with how her sisters are changing from the trauma they went through at the end of the second book. And she's also dealing with her own changes and being the High Lady, right? And there's never been a High Lady before. And how does she navigate that? How does she support her mate, but also maintain her own voice? And then, of course, dealing with a vindictive, petty ex. Just petty ex. So dealing with him. And then the last piece of this book, there's definitely a tone throughout of kind of political games and negotiations, in the sense that Feyre and team cannot defeat Hybern on their own, right? They need to gain some allies, and that's a little bit difficult considering Rhys and his family have spent how many years making people believe they're these awful, evil people. So trying to convince everybody that they're telling the truth to join their side, but then also not knowing who they can trust. See Tamlin. So there's definitely a heavy dose of that throughout, which it's a long, you could see how thick with two C's. It's a long book, but it keeps you engaged, and I wasn't bored at any piece or any part of the book, which is rare for a book that long, right? So for my next two on the checklist, usually we do the main and supporting characters for pieces 4 and 5 of my checklist. But considering we're in the middle of a series right now, I'm going to combine them and just say main and supporting characters for A Court of Thorns and Roses series, 5 out of 5. She, especially with the supporting characters, a lot of times you can find authors who kind of skimp on character development, and the main character has friends, but you really know nothing about them. Not the case with Sarah J. Maas in this series. You get thorough backstories that just further endear these characters. Me personally, Moore's story was the most impactful for me. And just reading about everything she went through, but you get to, you hear about Azriel, you hear about Cassian, no one is just appears you know nothing about them, which I think is fantastic. And then for main characters, sometimes female, strong, independent female main characters can get borderline annoying to me. And that's not the case for me with Feyre, at least in the first 3 books. I love her. I love her. She never annoys me. And then Rhys, oh, good God, this camera. And then Rhys, I think he's everybody's book boyfriend at this point. Need we say more? So for me, main supporting characters for the first 3 books, 5 out of 5. Which leads us into 6. Number 6 on the checklist, favorite part. So favorite part for me, I think, makes me basic and a little bit of a hopeless romantic, but it's, for me, the reunion. So at the end of the first part of the book, Feyre does what she needs to do in the Spring Court. She heads out, has a little bit of an adventure, makes it back to the townhouse. She's got Lucian in tow, gets to see her home. She gets to see in person that Cassie and Azriel are okay. And she hears Rhys's voice, and she just crumbles to the floor, and they get to reunite. Oh, it just... definitely my favorite part of the book for sure. I love a good reunion. And then number 7 on the checklist, favorite line. I'm not going to give the full context of this line just because it's towards the end of the book, and I think that may spoil some things if you haven't finished reading the 3rd yet. But the favorite line from the 3rd book for me comes from Elaine, and she says, "Don't you touch my sister." And if you have siblings, or even if you don't have siblings and you just have people in your life that there's a strong bond and you would do anything to make sure they're happy, protected, and safe, you felt this line. And for me, for it to come from Elaine, who's such a gentle soul, and people think she's crazy for most of the 3rd book, for her to come out and just be like, "You F around and find out, don't you touch my sister," just that, getting all agitated, getting into it. That for me was my favorite line of the book for sure. Which brings me into, this is going to be a new addition, I think, to the checklist going forward, and let me know your thoughts if you like this addition or not. But number 8 on the checklist, just overall thoughts and would I recommend the book? So probably obvious, and I'd say for the first 3 books I've reviewed so far, yes, I would recommend them. Hell yes, I would recommend them times 1,000. I think every girl, every boy, everyone should read the series. I freaking love the series. It's so good. She's so creative. And I think, like I said in my plot summary, it's an excellent close to the first 3 books in the series. So that was my review of A Court of Wings and Ruin. Leave some comments below. I'm curious what your guys' favorite part, what your favorite line from A Court of Wings and Ruin were. And then also let me know. So I'm, as I mentioned, rereading the series, getting ready for the review of the 5th book, which is much, much shorter than the rest of the books in the series. So most of the books in A Court of Thorns and Roses are 600. I think A Court of Silver Flames is maybe almost like 700 pages. The 5th book is like 200. So let me know if you want me to combine books 5 and 6 for my review, or if you prefer to keep them separate. It just may be a much, much shorter review because it's a lot less material to work with. So just let me know what you guys prefer, and make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, spread the word. I know this is a relatively new channel, but really looking forward to growing and creating a family here as we review books on Peaches 2.0. And make sure you click the notification bell so you get notified when I post new videos. And I will see you guys in my next review. Bye.